You know that moment when you finally sit down at the end of the day and you think, I did everything and somehow nothing got done without me. That's not a team problem. That's not a time problem. That's a design problem. And it has a name. Today, we're talking about why being the one who handles everything is quietly capping your growth and what you are actually built for. Because you didn't start a business and come this far to still be waiting for a better tomorrow. You started because you had a vision, and that vision still needs you. Just not like this. I'm Andrea Liebross, and this is She Thinks Big. I want to tell you about Beth. Beth runs a consultancy, 6 years in. Good clients, good reputation, good revenue. By every measure, she is winning. And she was exhausted in a way she couldn't explain. When she came to me and said, Andrea, I don't know what's wrong. Nothing is broken, but nothing is moving either. So I asked her to pull up her calendar. And there it was. Every client meeting, her. Every deliverable review, her. Every decision, every approval, every just a quick question, her. She had a team, a good one, but they weren't really running anything. They were waiting for Beth to tell them what to do next, to approve the thing, to make the call. And here's what Beth said that I'll never forget. She said, "This is just how I've always done it. If this sounds familiar, that's because this isn't a Beth problem. I see this problem every single week. I know you built your business on your own excellence, your brain, your taste, your relationships, and it worked. So you just kept doing it that way. More clients, same model, just more of you until there was no more of you to give. That's not hustle, my friends. That's a ceiling. And the ceiling isn't your team. It's not the market. It's not your pricing or positioning. It is the version of yourself you built the business around. The one who does everything. The one who is, right now, the only real system you've got. And I've got news for you. You cannot scale yourself. Now, here's where it gets interesting and a little uncomfortable because what I saw in Beth's calendar wasn't just one thing, it was actually two. When I was sitting with Beth and looking at her calendar, I wasn't just looking at how busy she was. I was diagnosing because there are actually two things that can be happening when a woman like Beth, like you, is carrying everything. And the two things look identical from the outside, but they're very different problems underneath. The first is centralizing. Centralizing is structural. It's what happens when your business was never actually designed to run without you. Every decision has a path, and that path leads straight to your inbox. Your team is good, but they're waiting. The approvals, the final calls, the just loop me in. It all routes through you. Not because you're controlling, but because nothing was ever built to go anywhere else. The second is the hero. And this one's a little harder to hear. The hero isn't just centralizing because of bad systems. The hero needs to be the one who saves it. There's something that happens when the stakes are high and everyone turns to you, and it feels good. Being needed feels like being valuable. Being the one who fixes it and feels like proof that you belong at the top of what you built feels really good. So I asked Beth, tell me about the last time you tried to unplug, like really unplug. She laughed. She told me about a vacation she took last summer. Her team had everything covered, but she checked in every hour, not because anything was wrong, but because she couldn't imagine it going right without her. That's centralizing. And then she said something that stopped me. She said, honestly, Andrea, when I came back and found out they had handled everything, I was very proud of them. But there was this tiny part of me that felt unnecessary. That's the hero. So one is structural, centralizing, and one is psychological, the hero. And if you don't address both, you just rebuild the same ceiling at the very next level. I'm willing to bet the question here isn't whether you're doing it too, it's how much and why. And the answer, it might surprise you. You're not doing this because you have a bad team. You're not doing this because you don't know how to delegate. You're doing this because it pays off. Every time you step in, it pays off. Every time you make the call, it's justified. Every time you're the one who handles it, a bigger potential crisis is averted. But here is the real price you pay as a result. You're not just responding to the need, you're creating the need in the short run and the long run. Every quick answer you give is a question your team never learned to solve on its own. Every decision you make is a muscle they never got to build. Every time you stepped in at the last minute, you taught everyone around you that the last minute is when you show up. And I can tell you the part nobody talks about, it feels good. Being the one who knows, being the one they come to, being the one who holds it all together. There's kind of a quiet power in being indispensable. And I'm not here to shame you for it because it's also what built everything you have. But here's what I want you to really sit with. If your leadership depends on being needed, you will keep creating situations where you are needed, not on purpose, but your patterns will do it for you. More approvals, more last minute saves, more let me just handle it. And here's the thing about thinking you'll fix it at the next level, you won't. If you're overfunctioning at this level, you will overfunction at the next one. More revenue, same ceiling. You don't outgrow this by making more money or hiring more people or working more hours. You just get a bigger stage to play the same role on. So here's your choice. You can stay the hero or you can become the architect. You can keep operating like this for another year, or you can decide that this right here, right now, is the moment it changes. The cost of redesign is discomfort. The cost of staying the same is you. So real quick, before we go any further, I'm on a mission to help women think bigger, lead boldly, and live fuller lives. And if this episode is landing for you, hit follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. It is the easiest way to make sure you never miss a week. If you want a weekly reset delivered straight to your phone, text forward to 317-245-3255. And every Friday, I'll send you one reframe, one mindset shift, one thing to help you think bigger. Not noise, no filter, just the good stuff. All right, back to it. Now, I want to tell you about the moment everything shifted for Beth, because it didn't happen in a boardroom. It happened on a Tuesday morning. It wasn't a bad quarter that finally cracked it open for Beth. It wasn't a client who left or a team member who quit. It was a Tuesday morning when she couldn't really get out of bed. Not wouldn't, but couldn't. She was exhausted. She'd been running on fumes for months. She was skipping meals. She was answering emails at midnight. She was waking up at 4 a.m. with her brain already in problem-solving mode before her alarm ever went off. And she told herself it was a season, that it would slow down after this project, after this client, after this quarter. Well, it never slowed down. And one Tuesday, her body just stopped. It said no. And it kind of sent her a bill for everything she'd been borrowing against herself. So she Voxered me from bed. And I remember she said, I just figured out no one's coming to save me. That was the moment. I sat with that for a second before I said anything back, because that sentence, that's not a systems insight. That's a woman who finally stopped waiting to be rescued from the thing she actually built. And there is so much freedom on the other side of that. But first, you have to feel the full weight of what it's been costing you. Not just your time, not just your calendar, your actual health, your sleep. Beth couldn't get out of bed. She wasn't present. Her ability to be present anywhere, at the dinner table, on vacation, in her own life, that was the real bill. And Beth had been running a tab for years. So that's what we built around, not just decision frameworks, though we built those too. We looked at every place Beth was the single point of failure, and we asked one question: what would need to exist here so this doesn't depend on her? It was a client onboarding system her team could run without her, a weekly check-in structure that didn't require her in every room. It was clear standards so her team could make calls without waiting for her to sign off. One by one, she stopped being the answer to every question. And something really remarkable happened. Guess what? The business didn't fall apart. It actually got better, because her team finally had room to grow into the space. And Beth, she slept like she hadn't slept in 2 years. That's what the shift looks like. It's not dramatic. It's not overnight, although we wish it was. It's just quieter. It's lighter. It's like you finally put something down you didn't realize you'd been carrying. All right, let's get practical, because this is the part where I want you to walk away with something you can actually use. Listen, the more you grow, the less your value comes from doing. It comes from multiplying. That's what Beth figured out. And here's exactly how she did it and how you can too. First and foremost, stop answering questions immediately. When they ask, don't jump. Ask back. What do you think? What options are you considering? What decision are you making? It's going to feel slower. You're going to want to step in, but don't. Why? Because every time you answer first, you take a rep away from them. Second, stop helping and start assigning ownership. This is yours. Walk me through your plan and then stop talking. Yes, the silence will feel uncomfortable. Let it. That's where leadership grows. So Beth told me the first time she did this, her instinct was to jump in within 30 seconds, but she didn't. And her team member figured it out. And Beth said, I realized I'd been stealing those moments from them for years. Third, install a decision structure. If every decision is still coming to you, clarity is missing. Not effort, not talent, clarity. Every person on your team should be able to answer 4 questions without asking you. They should be able to answer, what's the goal? Who owns it? What's the standard? And by when? That's designing a business that can run without you in the room. Think about how many interruptions in your day are really just unanswered versions of those 4 questions. If you want to dig deeper on this decision stuff, I have a bunch of podcasts on it, and I will link them in the show notes. All right, finally, this thing that you can do, this is the one that matters most. You cannot architect from exhaustion. If your leadership only works when you are running at maximum capacity, that's not leadership, that's endurance. And you didn't come this far to just endure. So here's where I want to leave you, not with a to-do list, but with a decision. Here's what I want you to know before we close. You're going to catch yourself rescuing again, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. And that's okay. It does not mean you failed. It means you're aware. And awareness is where everything changes. The old version of you stepped in without thinking. This new version of you catches it, pauses, and asks a different question. Not, how do I fix this? But how do I build this so it doesn't need me to fix it? That is the shift. It's not a personality change. It's not a complete overhaul of who you are. It's just a slightly different question, because I'm guessing the goal was never to take a better vacation. The goal is to build something so well designed that when you do step away, nothing flinches. Your team keeps moving, your clients are taken care of, the work gets done, and you're fully wherever you are, sipping a margarita on a beach. That is not a dream, my friends. That is a decision, and it starts right now. I'm going to leave you with 3 questions, and I mean it when I say it. Do not answer these in your head. Write them down. Sit with them. This is a great time to take out the notes section on your phone. So first, here's the first question I want you to write down and answer in writing. Where are you still playing hero? Not in general, specifically. Which meetings, which decisions, which moments are still running through you that don't need to? Second question, what are you afraid will happen if you stop? Because there's always something underneath that fear. Name it. That's the hero talking. And you need to hear what the hero is saying before you can move past this fear. Third question, what structure would need to exist for you to step back to go on vacation without anxiety? Not who would need to exist, but what would need to exist. Because when you answer that question honestly, that's your blueprint. That's what you build next. Because heroes carry things, but architects build. You're the architect. You're ready to build. Go do it. I'm Andrea Liebross, and thanks for joining me today on this episode of She Thinks Big. For more of all things She Thinks Big, follow me on Instagram at andrea.liebross.coaching. And if this episode lit something up in you, do not let that feeling sit. You cannot see your own ceiling from inside it. So that's what I'm here for. Text CONNECT to 317-245-3255. That's CONNECT to 317-245-3255. And tell me what's pulling at you right now, because you didn't come this far to stay here. See you next week for a brand new episode. Till then, think big.